Hi, everyone. This is Raquel.
Hi, and this is Jennifer.
Welcome to Madness Cafe.
This is a feminist podcast where we talk about women's issues, politics, and health and wellness.
And where those issues intersect. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Madness Cafe. And for those of you who are watching on YouTube, you'll notice there's a whole bunch of us on the screen today because we are having a special, oh, look at all this loveliness on the screen. I love it. We are having a Galentine's Day episode with some of our favorite ladies, our favorite goddesses right here on the screen celebrating Galentine's Day with us. And so I want to start with a little blurb about what Galentine's Day is. Because I didn't realize this, and I may be the last person to realize this, but Galentine's Day is actually something started on Parks and Rec with Amy Poehler's character Leslie Knope starting Galentine's Day. And she calls it the best day ever because it's ladies celebrating ladies.
And I didn't know that.
I had no idea. So happy Galentine's Day. And thanks, Amy Poehler, for giving us Galentine's Day.
I wanted to start with maybe just going popcorn style, everybody giving a quick introduction and maybe one belief around Galentine's Day. And to kick it off, I'll start. And I'm Jennifer. I am one of the co-hosts of Madness Cafe podcast. I'm excited to welcome you all on to the episode today. And one of the beliefs, and it may be erroneous now that I've heard what Raquel had to say, is that Galentine's Day was more of a consolation prize than a celebration. Mm-hmm. And I'm happy to hear that that might not be the case. And I hope we get to discuss that a little bit more.
Awesome. Awesome. I guess I'll go next. I'm Raquel. I'm the other co-host on the show. And same as Jennifer, I kind of was thinking that Galentine's Day was like a consolation prize for like the single woman. But as I started looking into it, I was like, no, there's so much more to it than that. And so that's what we're going to talk about today, or one of the many things that we're going to talk about. So I'm really excited to realize that it's not just like a consolation prize. It's for us to celebrate each other.
I'll go next.
Okay.
I'm Nekayah. Just like Jennifer and Raquel, I Googled Galentine's Day and found out that the same. It is not for single ladies to celebrate Valentine's Day. It is to celebrate women's friendships. And I love that. I try to celebrate every day, but I think having one day where we focus on it is even better. So I'm here for it. I love it.
I guess I can go next. I'm Karen, and I watched Leslie Knope when it was first dropped live on the TV. And
awesome.
And so I've never liked Valentine's Day, even when I was with people, without people, I just never liked that. So I was like, I love the idea of Galentine's Day. Like I would prefer to do that, even if I was in a relationship with somebody. Between the two, I would rather do Galentine's Day than Valentine's Day, because Valentine's Day feels kind of performative, and Galentine's Day is just a day to celebrate.
I like that.
I'm Tiffany, and I didn't really know about Galentine's Day. I think maybe last year I sort of heard about it, and I thought, oh, maybe this will be some sort of like empowering thing for like for single people, but like, you know, that they can claim their day as well. So
nice.
I'll go Lorie. Yeah, I mean, when I first heard about it, I thought it was something for single women, and I didn't think it was a consolation prize. I mean, I thought, how fabulous. Like, don't feel pushed to get into a relationship or feel like, you know, you lost, that nobody gave you crappy flowers and cheap chocolate. You know, who cares? You know, go out and be with your girlfriends and enjoy that. You know, I was kind of jealous. So I'm more excited to hear it's for all women and that we can all be included and celebrate each other. So I'm all in. You're all getting cards and shit and cheap chocolate, probably. Yeah.
Love that so much.
I'll go next. I'm Barbara, and I'm all for heading down to the dollar store tomorrow and picking up cheap chocolate, which is now $1.25. I also thought that Galentine's Day was like Valentine's Day in that it seems like a made up holiday, like a Hallmark holiday. And I thought it was just another way to for retailers to get into my wallet. So
that's valid.
I'm all about frugality and spending money wisely. So I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna pass. So, but I like the idea of celebrating, you know, the women in our lives. So I kind of like that idea.
Awesome.
Yeah, Candice, hi. I'm with Karen. I saw it on Parks and Rec when it first came out, so I knew what it was about when that show was on. I think it's a celebration of women, not, you know, single or not single or consolation prize. But then I'm also like, I would much rather do Galentine's than regular Valentine's because I don't think it's quite as commercialized as Valentine's is. I'm not a fan of Valentine's Day. It is just, it's a money grab. It's commercial, corporate world horribleness. Celebrate love every day, not just the day that they tell you to. And then I think Galentine's Day should be kind of similar. Celebrate your gal pals every day of the year. But it's nice to have a reminder because that is easy to forget and not something that is, you know, in your face every day, like a spouse who you live with and you see all the time. You can lose track of friends. So it's good to have an annual reminder to touch base and celebrate each other.
Love that.
Okay, I think I'm last. I'm Libby. True confessions. I actually thought Raquel asked if we could talk about Valentine's Day. I thought we were going to be like burning down Valentine's Day. I was like, let's burn it down, bitches. Like I actually thought we were going to be having like this feminist conversation about Valentine's Day, which 20 years ago I renamed Vaginatine's Day because I was like, if you have a vagina, it should be thoroughly worshipped always, but especially on Vaginatine's Day. I kind of like took it back. But about an hour ago, I was like, oh, this says Galentine's Day. So I Googled it too. I never watched Parks and Rec, but I love that it was Amy Poehler who invented this thing. But for me, it's like, I actually just spent a weekend with my best friend from the womb that felt like very much in the spirit of this. And I guess I would say, since I thought we were going to be burning down Valentine's Day today, what little I know about Galentine's, I feel like culturally women aren't encouraged to put themselves first or each other for that matter. So I appreciate that. But I don't know a lot about Galentine's Day. Otherwise, I've heard of it, but I didn't realize it was like an official thing. So I'll be here burning down Valentine's Day with you all as part of this episode as well.
Yes.
Libby, I love that so much.
Totally with you,
a
Libby.
little
Totally
burning
with you.
down Valentine's Day at the same time. It's fine.
Yeah.
Well, having
yes.
Libby bring that up, has anyone actually done a Galentine's Day celebration with your sisters? Have you gone out, had dinner? I don't know. What do people do? Get a drink, go dancing? Have any of us actually celebrated it?
Like the official day?
Yeah. Well, it doesn't have to be the
Fun.
official day, but around then, did you go out and specifically do Galentine's versus Valentine's?
I don't think I have. I mean, I go out with groups of girlfriends, but not for Galentine's Day specific.
Yeah.
Now,
Same.
Can we clarify? Is it still February 14th? It's not a different
No.
date,
No, it's
right?
February
Like it's
13th.
on
13th.
It's
the
the
day
13th.
before.
Yes,
Okay.
the day before.
Because I'm not going out on Valentine's Day because
No.
Ever.
they charge you more and give you a crappy menu. So we just have to make that
Crowded.
clear.
Yeah, nobody's
I
messing
don't
with
want to go
that.
out that whole week. I don't even want to go to Panera that whole week. You know, like, I mean, I don't want to get anywhere close to this commercialized money grab and looking at people doing things, saying things they shouldn't be saying. So, you know, that they feel like they're forced to, like, oh, I should tell my girlfriend, boyfriend that I love them because that's what we do on Valentine's Day, or you know, just pushing things forward when they shouldn't. So
A lot of pressure.
I think maybe that's why Galentine's Day hasn't taken off, because it's the day before Valentine's Day. And I think it's too loaded. It's already too loaded. That's
Mhm.
maybe I would like I think sisterhood should have its own. If we're gonna do it, let's have it in March or you know, April or something, like, you know, where it's its own thing, because maybe this is why it feels like a consolation prize, because it's right before it. Like, oh, we're going to help you
Valid.
feel better.
That's valid.
Have
Although
any of you bought yourself candies like I did, or flowers, or had stuff delivered to yourself or to your sisters on Galentine's Day?
I am such a horrible friend. I have not.
Lies.
But did you buy
You gave
yourself
me a
flowers?
card.
I have bought myself flowers. I bought myself, not necessarily for Galentine's Day, but I bought myself flowers before.
Like, yeah, I've done it for just buy myself flowers here and
Yeah.
there, but never actually because it was like Valentine's.
Yeah. I don't buy anything that week because they're all what's called Visa roses. I don't know if you've ever talked to a florist, but around Valentine's Day, they have to grow a lot of flowers very quickly. So they're actually like put on steroids and like, I don't know the science behind it, but the general idea is like, let's say it usually takes a month for a rose to grow. They grow them in a matter of days.
And then
They
charge
die
a
very
lot.
quickly. Like they're not healthy, happy flowers. You know, they look okay, but they'll never blossom. If you've ever picked up a dozen roses on Valentine's Day, they don't last. They aren't nice. And you paid premium price for it. So yeah, I was told by a florist at one point, don't ever buy flowers that week because they're all mass grown crap. Wait a week and then they'll be
I think there's a metaphor in there about Valentine's Day. I think
about the never bloom. When she said they'll never
something
bloom.
is forced to grow and it will never bloom. Like there is definitely a metaphor here.
There's a huge metaphor there. Definitely.
I do like when the chocolates all go on sale a few weeks later. So that's awesome. And here's a funny story. There's a Jewish holiday in March, Purim, and one of the customs is to give little boxes of chocolates or treats or things like that, including Hamantaschen, to friends. And so some of my youth group, we used to do a fundraiser, and we would fill these cute little boxes, just a little bit, and then we would deliver them at Sunday school to the different kids and different families and things. It was a great fundraiser, but we counted on the after Valentine's Day chocolate sales. So, because everything was 50-75% off, and we're like, this is great. Thank you for the good timing. So
yeah, whatever it takes.
I do like the idea though of acknowledging friendships, especially female friendships. I really like that idea, and noting how special it is in all of our lives, right? So I don't know, maybe this year I'll do cards for for Galentine's Day, although that's putting a lot of pressure on myself. I mean, I don't even do holiday cards, so just I in my heart I want to do it, but I'm not going to make any promises. Let it.
You know what? It'd be fun is to throw a party with your girlfriends and everybody make a little box like we did in elementary school, and we all give each other little Valentines.
That would be
How
cute.
cute would that be?
I actually really loved those
We
little
could make
ones
a big box and
had
do wine too.
That's a lot of cards though, isn't it?
It's a lot of cards.
We just do like one and then do like Secret Santa.
Or like the little Snoopy cards. Do you guys remember this when we were all kids?
Yeah.
Just put the name to from.
Yeah.
Well, on that vein, you love the idea. Let's group collectively vision for a moment. If we could have the perfect Galentine's celebration, what would each of you vision being part of that? Like Tiffany is a really good friend of mine. I would probably hang out with her. Actually, I'm going to hang out with you in it's almost Tiffany's birthday. I'm going to hang out with her in a couple of days. Tiffany, if you could have the most fabulous Valentine's or Galentine's Day with me, what would we do together?
What I picture is what we do anyways, which is like we would go out to a nice dinner, we would have a drink together, like just celebrate, go to a concert, which we do all the time. Like, I mean, those are the kinds of things that I really enjoy. if I was going to make it a bigger thing, I would probably have like all of my favorite women. And I was thinking in my head, I was like, it'd be really fun to like have all my favorite women and either like do some art together or just like bring whatever drink they wanted and just a really cool hangout night.
Yeah.
Mine would be, I think, the opposite. Because I was thinking like all the girlfriends would meet at one person's house, like the most comfortable house, and just be in our jammies and eating like raw cookie dough and potato
Oh, I
chips.
like that.
Yeah.
And, and just talking and taking breaks to watch like When Harry Met Sally. It just would be the most comfortable and
Yeah.
eating all the naughties and just, hanging with your girlfriends.
Like an old fashioned slumber party.
Yes, like a big girl slumber party.
Yeah. I love that.
Yes. And I like having the wine involved or some cocktail or several involved or other adult treats.
Brownies.
Brownies, special brownies.
You guys are jogging my memory. About 25 years ago, I lived in Nashville and I was single and all of my friends were gay men. And I had a Valentine's Day dessert party and had all of them over to my home and served nothing but dessert and coffee. And it was like midday. I'm a sugar freak anyway, but it was 25 years ago when we could all handle a lot of sugar in the middle of the day, which I probably can't now. But it was so much fun. It was, I made most of the desserts, but then people brought desserts. And so then everybody left with little treats.
Do you remember what the most luscious dessert of the day was?
Yeah.
Gosh, I don't. I think it was this, my dad used to love chocolate cake, and the more chocolate, the better. And so I used to make like a triple chocolate cake for him. It was overload. So it was probably that. But I also like Karen's idea of just kind of vegging out at home with your favorite things and movies and people and food. Like at this point in my life, that sounds the most awesome. Because you're at home.
Comfortable.
Yep.
One thing that I hate to be the downer here, but one thing I like about Valentine's Day, to be honest, I haven't had a date on Valentine's Day in so many years. I tend to break up with my boyfriend right before that day every year. But that being said, if I had a Valentine's Day with a man, I kind of envisioned this kind of hot, sexy night with hot sex, right? How do we incorporate that into Galentine's in any way? Sensuality, sexuality, or is that off limits because we're all women?
Yes. No. Hell.
How do we do it?
Yes.
How do we do it,
we're
Libby?
talking. Now
Depends
we're
on the
talking.
friend.
Okay, get your feathers. I would say, okay. I was just like, who's gonna say it first? It was gonna be me, but Jennifer got me. So anyway, I was gonna say my first rule would be full permission to bail. Full permission to bail on this gathering, because I feel like we never get permission to just be like, fuck it, I want to take a nap or whatever.
I do want to.
Yes, whatever's in your pleasure. For me, I would definitely want everyone to have a feather because it's like my love language and it's so good for your nervous system. I'm like gonna get everybody's address and send them a damn feather. Just like getting in your body, figuring out what just feels good in the moment. For sure. And there's a game that you can play called, it's actually like an erotic game that you can play with your partner, but you can play it with friends too. I realized because I did this with a coaching client who was like a sensuality embodiment coaching client of mine. And it's called the yes no game. So you can take like different textures and somebody puts it on your arm and you have your eyes closed and you say yes or no. Like you compare, it might be a fork and then a feather and you say which one you liked better. You say yes, no to either. So like something that really gets you into your senses, because I feel like we're so living in our heads all the time as women. We get so conditioned to be up here and our body is just like craving for some attention from just us. And then Raquel, I'm sure won't find this as a surprise, but I would make everybody brag about themselves. Like that would be forcible. So if you don't want to brag about yourself, don't come to my Galentine's party. You're all invited. And then also like talking about desires, things that you really desire, whether it's to be fed BLT by Jason Momoa. Or to be very
Didn't even think of
specific,
that.
to
I
be
didn't
very
know that was an
specific,
option.
it is always an option when it's desire work. Or if it's just like, I desire to say no to more invitations to go out because I'm an introvert or whatever it is for you. So that's kind of like where I go, like sensuality, desire work, bragging about yourselves, and like celebrating each other in real time in front of each other as women too.
Witnessing each other's celebrations and brags and
Well,
I mean, that's what I really love about my female friendships and sisterhood in general is witnessing everybody's celebrations and growth and being a safe space for each other. Right? Like that's key for me. I've taken Libby's workshop, and some of the most uncomfortable stuff is bragging about yourself sometimes. So to see a woman
show us, do it.
step into that like discomfort, but to do it anyway and to brag about herself. Oh,
Show
would you
us.
brag?
I want you to
Jennifer
brag.
desires
Jennifer
Raquel
I brag.
to brag, and it starts with I brag, just so everybody knows.
Yes,
That's the rule.
I brag.
This is a reminder. Feed the dog.
Ooh.
I brag. That was awesome. I brag that I am surrounded by amazing, beautiful, talented, amazing, sensual, beautiful women. And not just the women on the screen right now, but so many women in my life. And I'm so very lucky and fortunate to have all of these women in my life.
I love that. I'm just going to clarify. That was a beautiful acknowledgement. A brag is about yourself.
Okay. Okay. I brag.
I'm a stickler for this shit.
I'm going to change it. I'm going to change it because I know where you're going with this. I brag that there's something in me that attracts these women into my life.
Nice.
There we go. I did it. Whew,
I brag that I decided that I thought I should have something fun and special to wear for this podcast. So I went and found myself a sweater that had hearts on it. And by the way, texture, it feels so good. And I brag that I got matching earrings for me.
For you. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yep.
Dig it. I dig it. Who else wants to brag? I know y'all got it in you. Come on now.
This is giving me life. I feel like I should brag since I like brought it into the space. And I just want to give a shout out to someone named Mama Gina who created the art of bragging in this context or whatever. So I'm not taking credit for that, but it has fucking kept me alive. I'll tell you that much, like bragging with other women. And I'm just watching everybody be like, oh God, I'm going to have to brag. Oh, I love her brag. And I want to say a brag can be anything. It can be big, small, whatever. It can be, I brag, I changed my underwear today. It can be anything. For me, I brag that I have been practicing something that I'm calling the art of self-seduction, which is like really turning my adoration towards myself and like being committed to being the most turned on by my own attention, which is radical for me. I'm an attention hoe. I'm not going to lie. Who isn't? And I brag that I committed and did it. It took a trip to Ireland, Scotland, and Portugal for 3 weeks with my husband in September. And I'm still savoring the magic of that. And I brag, I changed my underwear today.
Good job.
Okay, I brag that last night I sent out invites to a class that I'm going to do in April. Yeah, and that I did not spend all of today being like, why hasn't anybody responded? Like, I've just been like not looking and just, so that's my brag.
Awesome.
And I did change my underwear today also.
Yay!
I'm not wearing underwear. I brag.
Oh, woohoo!
Are we all having to brag?
You don't have to.
I would brag that I can go in my kitchen, no matter what state it's in, and find enough ingredients to make a healthy meal for the family.
Nice.
And sometimes it's weird stuff available. So.
That's a talent.
And I did not change my
Skill.
underwear because I am not wearing it.
Ooh, nice.
Nice.
Anybody else want to brag? Safe
I'll
space.
brag that I am very much outside of my comfort zone to be here today. So
That's fantastic. Thank you for being with us.
I'm so glad you're here, Candice.
yay. I miss your face.
I miss your face. Anybody else? Oh, Lorie.
You want me to brag about my dogs? Like, yeah.
I brag that I can't remember the last time I vacuumed my house or cooked a meal because my husband does all of those things. He cooks every meal.
Sounds so good to me.
And then he took a vacuuming during COVID. So he loves it.
Yes.
Yes, love it. Love
Is that
it.
a brag?
That's a good brag.
Okay, good.
That's a good brag.
I didn't know whether to be bragging or embarrassed.
Oh no, that's a good brag.
It's kind of hard to brag, don't you think? Like,
Yeah.
I think it's kind of hard.
Well, as women, we're told to keep that under wraps and be humble, and that's bullshit.
Exactly. Exactly. We're conditioned to dim our light. We're conditioned to play small, and we're conditioned to compete with each other and to struggle against each other. And that's one of the good things about Galentine's Day and about sisterhood in general is that this is key, right? Like this is key to our well-being. Whether it's one female friend or 50 or whoever, or someone you see every day, or someone you see like, I don't know, twice a year or twice a decade. Having that female friendship is so significant. It's like an undergirding, like a scaffolding of our well-being. And when women come together, there's a lot of power in that. And we can pull from that power to do what we need to do, whether it's going out and living our lives or taking care of ourselves or being there for others. It's our female friendships that feed that.
Right.
Your female friends make sure you take care of yourself.
Yes. Yes. In those times when you can't, they help you take care of you.
Right.
Right. It's the true definition of support system. Like, I honestly don't know where I would be without my female friends. Whether it's women that I recently developed friendships with, or women that I've known since childhood, it all plays in together, and it all is part of this lovely web that supports my health, supports my mental health, my emotional health. So there you go. I just got all up on.
So how do you nurture those? Like you said, there's some from childhood, there's some people that you just met, but maybe you feel attracted to them in female friendship. How do you nurture and grow? Because I'll be honest, it's always kind of been a challenge for me. How do you balance all that and nurture female friendship? What do you guys do?
I have women friends that as you said, they hold you up, and they're more than one group. They're different groups. And for me, if I meet somebody, I am asking them, hey, do you walk? Do you want to meet and go for a walk? You want to grab coffee? And as soon as I meet another woman that I think I could mesh with, I just ask them if they want to do something. And hopefully it works out. And it does a lot of times. I think it's scary for a lot of people. A lot of my friends were like, I never would have asked me. Like they're like, I never would have asked me to do what you did. And it's like, you just have to take that leap, because if it's a good one, I just can't say enough how much my female friends being there for me.
research definitely tells us that, I mean, there's a lot of chatter about the crisis of loneliness in the US and really throughout the world. And men's friendships are fewer and fewer than they were even, just 2 decades ago. And I think it's hard because there's like so much stuff going on in our lives. Like, how do I fit this in? But I think when we prioritize it, like I should fit in the dishes. I shouldn't fit in my friends. Like, I should fit the dishes in around meeting with my friends, but sometimes, a lot of times, like those transactional things in the moment get in our way. So like if I'm, for my brag is that I have walked my dog every time that I can during these cold weather, these cold temperatures, which is a big deal because he loves them and he is dying on the vine without his after dinner walks. But it's not safe for him to be walking in 28 degrees, but he doesn't know that. He's very sweet. He's not that bright. He thinks he can walk. Like right now, he's bothering me for a walk now. But it's like I'm making, so now I have to figure out, I have to walk him in the afternoon instead, and I have to figure out how to fit that. And luckily I work from home, so I can do that, but I've got to put it on my calendar, or else I'm just going to keep working here. And I was thinking about that. I need to make sure I schedule my phone calls, and it sometimes it feels a little forced if I'm scheduling a phone call with a friend. But I mean, how many times have we traded missed calls and texts and things like that, and I don't connect? Well, I made an appointment to go see the dentist, and I don't even like them. I mean, they're very nice, but
Me neither.
I don't want to go, but I want to see my friends and I want to interact with my friends, and my friends who aren't here in Atlanta, near me, I want to still connect with them over the phone. Sometimes I got to schedule it. And again, it may feel a little forced, but especially my friends who are not here, where I can't set up, let's meet for drinks, or let's meet for lunch, or what have you. If I schedule it, then we talk. But if I don't, we won't, because our lives, because the dishes are going to get in the way, or for me, scheduling the cleaners, because I also don't do the vacuuming here at this house. So I have them come they're coming tomorrow. Can't wait. I've kind of been thinking about this a lot lately, about how I think we hold our friends in high esteem, especially as we get older. We focus on those people who are the best fit for us, but we often don't verbalize those things. And just from some personal experiences, having people gather when it's too late for that person to hear the good things said about them. We all say lots of good things at the funeral, or when the person is in the hospital. They needed to have heard that a decade earlier, or before they got sick, so I think it would be good. Maybe that's what Galentine's Day can be like. We're not just getting together for a glass of wine. We're getting together and we're each going to say 3 great things, or 3 great memories, or 3 wonderful, things I appreciate about each person who's here, and that really celebrating the person. And so, I don't know.
During COVID, when we all were stuck at home at the beginning, I really started appreciating and thinking about, friends, and then thinking about my girlfriends who were going through things at their homes, their families. I ended up, and it's the only time I've ever done it, and I really wish I should do it more, but I wrote letters to everybody and just dropped them in the mail, just like, hey, I just want to tell you you're doing an amazing job. I know this is a hard time, and I just want to let you know how good you're doing at everything. I was like, I need all these women to know, that we see them. And I was like, I'm 52 years old, and I only have done that once, I don't know, but I think even if you don't want to do actual Galentines, because you have to go out at night in your clothes, but but doing like letters, like, or a message to somebody.
Yeah.
Or you could do a
know.
Galentine's Zoom. You could do like you know what I mean? Like I love a dance break. I love a sister, well, this is getting a little edgy, but sisterhood, like sensual dance break. You know what I mean? It's like, show up if you want to wear lingerie, great. Like whatever it is. But what's coming to me too when I'm listening to everybody share, and I love everything so much, I'm really glad I'm here, is like, I feel like prioritizing sisterhood is actually prioritizing ourselves. And because we're not taught to prioritize ourselves, that's why it's the thing that can like slip back. I was just like watching everybody brag, and just like watching how lit up everybody gets when women start to like celebrate themselves and each other and whatever. And I couldn't agree more with what everyone's saying about like making that more front running in our lives. Like this is why I do the things I do, like what Raquel was talking about, because when women can really see each other and we can, and I think we see ourselves the most clearly through other women, like in sisterhood. And we're actually taught to try to see ourselves through like this distorted patriarchal lens. So like when we gather and we can, even if it's on Zoom doing a striptease or whatever it is, you know what I mean? It's like reclaiming it and prioritizing ourselves and being able to see ourselves more clearly through each other's, whether it's hardships or brags or desires or whatever it is. Like I always see myself more clearly when I'm in sisterhood. When I'm seeing it tonight, I don't even know. I only know 2 people on here, and I feel like I'm seeing it here.
Yeah, there was a meme I saw recently that's like really stayed in my head a lot. And it was, what if we saw ourselves through the good things people said about us? What could we accomplish and bring to the world versus listening to the bad things of people who don't even see us? So I've thought about that a lot lately. I'm just really embracing my gifts and what I do really well and not worrying about what I'm not that great at. And, just following that path.
I love that so much, Lorie. And I see you do that constantly now. Like you are following what you love and what you are good at. And I see all of you do that in big ways and in small ways. And I am so honored to be a part of all of this in however I can be a part of it. And that's something that I don't want to take for granted. Like I've not always been the greatest at nurturing friendships, appreciating them, yes, but like putting the legwork in, haven't always been that great about it. And that's something that I'm trying to get better at. And thankfully, I have friends who have been very, very understanding of my developing, ability to nurture a friendship, right? Like try not to be so caught up in the day-to-day of get up, go to work, come home, eat dinner, go to sleep, right? Like there's always time in there that I can send somebody a text or forward a meme or do whatever and say, hey, you're awesome. I was thinking about you today.
I think something that small really affects people because they're like, hey, somebody was just thinking of me.
Yeah.
And I think too, we can hold each other up. I know, like, sometimes when you're young, you get your feelings hurt so easily if somebody doesn't put the same effort forth that you feel you are. And I just know it's different now. I was single for 20 years and I have no siblings, and I needed my girlfriends as my sisterhood. They held me up during that time. And I was one of these people that was, I wanted a partner, but I was totally okay being single. I think as an only child, you're used to being alone. And then at age 45, when I met my husband, the biggest thing in my brain was, I'm not leaving my sisters behind, because during that time, my best friends found their boyfriends and husbands, and I was dropped like a hot potato. And, when you're young, things like that happen. And I really got my feelings hurt. And so it just stuck in my mind, like, I'm not doing that. So I was married, but I told my husband, like, look, I'm still going out with my girls, if it's just a dinner. And there'd be some weeks where I would have 2 and 3 girlfriend dates a week. And, and I just kind of said, this comes with the package. I'm not leaving my girls behind. And he was like, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. And it just, now I'm at the point where during that time when I was young, I was friends with women that were 30 years older than me. I had a couple of older women friends, and it just hit me last year how important those women were to me at that time. And I wanted to give back. And so it's weird how you think of things and then things happen. I had 3 young women come into my life last year that I sort of started mentoring, and I feel like I'm paying back what the older women that meant so much to me. I'm hoping to, use them as role models to help these young women who are in their early 20s. So I think, when you think about your core group of girls and girlfriends, think bigger, and some of you that have children and have daughters, you're already doing that. For some of you single ladies, think about, making friends with somebody who's outside of your age group and giving them some of the wisdom that, we've gained. I think it's very important.
Right. And as somebody who's been married 30 plus years, having your own friends,
Yes.
I think is critical to having a happy marriage.
Yes.
Because I bring so much more, and I bring so many more things to talk about together by having my own life outside of the two of us. And you can even apply that to parenthood, and that it could get really easy to just be friends with your kids' friends' parents. I see a lot of parents go down that path, and there's nothing wrong with being friends. I mean, it's great, but the thing is, like, I can see now as we left, one school for another school, those people who we were really close with, I don't see them much. They're not and as I face my daughter graduating high school in a year, I'm like, I'm really glad I have this full life outside of parenting and outside of my marriage. Like, if anything happened to either one, I would be okay because I've got a full life in other places. It's exhausting sometimes, but
Keeping it real.
it's fun exhausting, it's not
Yeah.
stressful exhausting.
Yeah.
After COVID, after sitting home 2 years, I said, you know what? I'm not turning down invitations unless I absolutely cannot make it. So, and I've stuck to that and I'm happier for it.
And I think you're setting a really good example for your daughter in that you do have so many like vibrant friendships outside of your marriage and being her mom, and that you have your significant group of friends. My mom is, vibrant and social as she is and used to be. She didn't necessarily keep up with all of her friends. I would hear my mom talk about all these people that she had these great relationships with or that she knew like decades prior, but I never got to meet these people. Like, I never saw my mom go out and do things with, her girlfriends or that sort of, like, I didn't see her have that social life because she was so focused on work, like work, come home, work, come home. Like that was it.
Sometimes you don't have a choice. I mean, I'm speaking from a place of privilege that I have the choice, but
Sure,
yeah.
sure. But I think
Yeah.
in my mom's situation, I mean, considering the village that my mom had in raising me and my brother, like my aunts were there and my grandma when she was still alive and all this. So all my mom had to do was just, and I say this is years before and I'm looking in on somebody else's life, but had she even just put a little bit of effort into nurturing even just one of her female friendships, how different would her internal life had been, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
there would have been that much more for her that was just hers and wasn't, oh, I'm Raquel's mom, or oh, I'm so and so's sister, or you know what I mean? And so
Somebody's
Yeah,
wife.
but I have another perspective on that.
okay, cool.
I have 2 daughters, as most of you know. And one of the joys of my life this week was Tiffany and I went to see Madonna. We went, and my daughters dressed us. I don't know if you all saw our costumes, our outfits on social media, but if you didn't, check it out because we got dressed by these amazing girls. That being said, as a woman who has daughters, just think about this, Raquel, for a second. You work full time. You're at work 40 plus, and your mom was a professional woman. I worked at least 50 hours a week. for a long time when my kids were growing up. I counted it by hours. I only had 2 hours with my kids in the evening before they went to sleep. There was a time when I wasn't giving that up for anything. Anything. And I'm not saying that my female friendships were not important to me. I did schedule things in. I scheduled concerts and running and whatever, but maybe even dinners. But I didn't do things on the fly because those 2 hours, they belonged to me and I wanted to be with my kids.
Yeah, that's a good
I wanted that time because here we are, they're graduating and they're going off. And that time is precious, baby, precious. So I just want you to consider another, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong or different, just saying that motherhood is fleeting.
Yeah.
And I knew that from the beginning.
Yeah, that's a
And
very
if I had been your mama, I would have wanted to spend every minute I could with you.
Thank you.
Mine doesn't want to spend every minute with me.
That happens too. That happens so fast. You're like,
My
wait.
kid, my kid doesn't want to
Same.
talk until around midnight. At midnight, she
Same.
comes down, and that is when I've got to be ready. I'm like, and I come home, I get home from work, I take a nap, then I do my dance classes and everything. I get home from that, I eat dinner, and I know I can almost look at the time and be like, here she comes, and I hear dun 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 dun, and then the floodgates open, and yeah.
And thank goodness you have your friends and your social life and the classes and everything that you do, because when your daughter started to do that, which is such a natural development, what would you have done?
Right.
It's
Right.
it's balance. It's balance.
I know.
It's balance.
Yeah.
It's balance and
Yeah.
everything. It's balance.
Life is stages. And
Yeah.
I mean, when they're little, your life does, you have to run it around them when they're little. I mean, you don't have a choice then. But yeah, as life changes, you prepare for the next phase. Always getting ready for the next phase, I say.
Thankfully, I feel like a good sisterhood will change with your life.
Yeah.
Right? There's always room for, I mean, people are always going to come in and leave and, come back and come back around and, whatever. Like it's kind of a living thing, right?
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, I have 3 friends and that's it. No more, no less. If somebody leaves, not bringing anybody, you know what I mean? It's just like, it's a living, breathing thing, and it changes and it grows and I think that's how it should be.
Yeah.
Right? Because we change. So why shouldn't our friendships change and grow with us?
They should.
I mean, there are
Yeah.
people that you don't talk to for a long time for whatever reason, their life, but you can call them and it will be just the same and they'll be there and you'll be there for them. And then you have people that you see all the time that are just as tight. It is different relationships that can be just as tight, but are different. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it totally does.
And it's the same, like people move in and out of your life. My 2 best friends I was talking about earlier, they both moved out of Atlanta to other states. And I kind of started doing recently what Karen was doing. I meet somebody that I think I mesh with and I'm like, hey, do you want to grab dinner sometime? Or, let's grab a coffee. And it feels kind of awkward. And I think sometimes people talk about the older you get, it's harder to make friends. I don't know if that's true or we just say that as an excuse. If you're forward enough and you can do it, it's all they can do is say no, or I'm busy, and you kind of get the hint. But I haven't had that happen. Like I've always been glad that I made that first move to reach out to somebody that I felt like I connected with, just to make another friend. You can't have too many.
And they may really need a friend, As extroverts, it's our responsibility in the world to friend these introverts who are too shy to say, do you want to get coffee? I mean, not everybody can do that. It's a talent.
Thank you, extroverts.
And also as somebody who was single for so long, I kind of looked at married women as like, oh, they don't have time, or they don't need any more friends, or they have kids, or I always looked at it that way. And so especially when I meet a single woman that I mesh with, I don't know if she's thinking that about me, but I got the time, so let's go. And so I think that sometimes that's why I make the first move.
I think too,
Yeah.
like no matter how hard you think it's gonna be to make that first move, I've never had anyone that wasn't happy that I had done it.
Absolutely.
Not necessarily because they're like, oh, you did, but because somebody else made that first move and it's an opportunity to do something. So it's very hard, but I think the other side usually appreciates it.
This is giving me an idea, and it's something that I love to do anyway, but I'm suspecting that most of you do too, but like Galentine's Day, like this is just an idea, invitation, take it or leave it. Maybe it's a dare, I don't know. But like complimenting every woman you come across, like genuinely, like really seeing them. Because like even at the grocery store, my husband's always joking. He's like, you just pick people up everywhere you go. Like I love flirting with people. It doesn't have to be sexual or whatever, but like tonight I was at the grocery store and I complimented a girl on her fingernails. They really looked pretty and she lit up. Like she was clearly not having a great day. I'm gonna be honest. But like that would be something fun. I'm suspecting everybody here does that anyway. Like it's something I love to do is like help women feel seen, like genuinely seen, not just like fake sort of like performative compliments. But it would be
Yeah.
such a fun thing to commit to for Valentine's Day, like
I'm
going
gonna
on
do that.
a compliment tour or like
Yeah.
getting
I'm bad
some whatever
about
it
it.
is. Yeah, like candies and
I'm
give them
really
out to people.
bad about
Yeah.
complimenting
Yeah.
people. And I think good things about them all the time. And I grew up with narcissistic parents, so uh, words of affection were not used in our house. Like compliments came with a backstab. I mean, so like taking compliments is hard for me, and giving compliments, I don't think to do it. I think wonderful things all the time. So I'm gonna work on that.
You have to do it. I do this all the time and have just started doing it recently, like in the past 2 years, to like if you're paying at a drive-through window, the same thing. I love your nails. I love your earrings. You will be shocked at how they light up. Their face completely changes. You go from stranger to besties in 2 seconds, and you feel good and they feel good. And it's not like disingenuous, like you're being genuine. I did this last night. My husband and I sat there were no tables at this restaurant, and we grabbed a seat at the bar, and the woman taking our order, I don't want to say she was a little snotty, but she had a little attitude, but she had the coolest earrings on. And I just went, I love your earrings. I was like, they're the perfect size and they have just enough sparkle. Her whole face changed, and we became besties for the night. And she's like, she knew our names at the end of the night. Like we would have had a totally different experience. And it took one thing, it took one compliment. And so now I live and die by it. Like it's everywhere we go, it's a
Yeah.
big, Libby's right. It's a big thing.
I think it's about people being seen
Yes.
and feeling like someone has seen them as a human. I read this in a women's magazine a few years ago. The flight attendants were really having a hard time during COVID. I mean, it just got really ugly. And so I always travel with a bag of Dove chocolates because they're individually wrapped. And I offer from the gate agent on, I just offer the bag. I'm like, ooh, dark chocolate. Would you like a dark chocolate? And only about half the people take it, but everybody's like, for me, you would think, I'm like, bar of gold. Would you like a bar of gold? No, it's like a little piece of chocolate. And be like, so can I take two? Yes, you can have two. Like you would think that I was offering the biggest thing, but I think I'm like, and I'm like, just trying to start the flight off on a sweet note. And they're like, oh, that's so great. What, and people are like, oh, did you ever get an upgrade? No, I just want to have a nice time. I want us to have a pleasant environment to be in because flying is tough. It's gross. I think people just want to be seen and appreciated for being a human and to feel like someone in the drive-through, they're not getting a lot of pleasantries. I think especially when someone's in the middle of a work day and they're not going to have a great time, if you could just uplift them a little bit, It makes such a huge difference. And it's fun. Like the reaction you get, it's like, it's much better than what you're giving. It's kind of
Yeah.
like volunteering, you know, I mean, you always get more out of it than you give.
It's a great diffuser for women in business because there's a lot of women out there still doing business together, and they're not of the mindset to lift other women up, or it's a competition. And so it's a great way to cut through that ice, and you will notice it immediately. That's where I first started doing it, as just a tactic to diffuse the situation where it's power to power. You know, somebody thinks that there's a power structure there where I'm not feeling it, but I know they are feeling it. And there's this competitiveness between two women in business. And as soon as you go to the girly side, oh, I love your shoes, you know, everything changes.
Yeah, well, I will say too, can I just say one more thing, Jennifer?
You
I love
can.
this so much. So women, what I've noticed is when women feel like it's okay, they really actually inherently love, like yearn to love each other well. Like
Yeah.
Mm.
they actually really, we want
Yeah.
to love each other up, and we're taught so much scarcity about beauty, love, money, sex. Like there's only so much to go around. So we're taught to actually, if I'm taught to find something wrong with another woman in a split second, because that's culturally what we get programmed, you know, like it's what we're getting fed, it's in the water, then why can't I equally find something that I love about them? Like, why can't I just love somebody instantly, right? Like that's what I love about this conversation. And what I'm seeing here too is like women do really want to love each other well and see each other and feel seen by each other. So let's fucking do it.
On
Libby, I
board.
love that so much.
I'm in.
So I think we're about out of time. This was a really valuable and fun conversation. And I'd just like to go around one more time, popcorn style. Any final thoughts? And I guess I will start. What I want to say is that even though I love the idea, Libby, at the beginning of totally bashing Valentine's Day, I'm actually glad that isn't where the conversation went. I mean, it's fun, right? I guess I don't love. I think the idea of bashing is very fun, but this building up just like feels so good. It feels self-empowering, but it also feels like the kind of energy that can actually, I know I sound like a kook, but can actually change the world. And I'm really grateful that all of you are on this call today. And I feel nothing but love for all of you. I hope you have a wonderful Galentine's Day and Valentine's Day, and just love up all the people around you. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for hosting.
Thanks for having us on here. I say this just has made me think again about my friends, and I'm glad you did this because it reminds you to reach out and tell them how much you love them, not just having them assume it.
Thank you.
I was thinking I have several different groups of women, but like a year ago, as I was sort of maneuvering this like fun midlife that some of us are in, I was feeling really lost, and I found this group online. It's a online community for women who are going through midlife and connections, and that and my other like female friendships have been so like instrumental this past year, and just kind of like helping me to feel connected, because I love what you guys were saying about like making new friends. It is challenging for some of us when we're older because I don't go to as many places now. I work from home. I don't have as many, social places to meet people. I made a new friend a year ago because I was running and happened to like strike up a conversation with a woman, and I said, "Hey, do you want to give me your phone number and we could meet and run sometime together?" And so we've been doing that for a year, which is awesome, but it is really hard to make friends. So I loved this. Thank you for inviting me.
On that note, I just remembered that my daughter actually threw a Galentine's Day party for her friends last year, because she was like, a few of them had boyfriends, but like they were disappointed that their boyfriends hadn't planned things. And she's like, screw it, like let's do our own thing. And like I remember them all just sitting there saying they were having so much more fun than they would have out on a date. So let's take it from the teenagers and go from there.
All right. Well, I just want to say Well, I was really a little bit nervous coming into today's discussion, partly because kind of like what Tiffany was saying of having like different groups of female friends, and I'm always a little nervous when my worlds collide. Because I'm like, oh my God, what if they don't like each other? Oh my God, what if they don't get along? And then there's that whole thing of like, you know, before you throw a party, you're like, oh my God, is everybody gonna have fun? Are they gonna be bored? Are they gonna like each other? Blah, blah, blah. Like that whole thing, right? Like, so I was having all of that like bubbling up for me, but I really should not have worried because this was so just like soul affirming. All of you women are so amazing. I'm so thrilled to have all of you in my life. Thank you for letting me be a part of your lives. And thank you for doing this. And thank you for being my Galentine. And I'm sorry, I'm getting a little,
It wouldn't be the podcast without that, Raquel.
Damn it.
Hey, Raquel.
Yeah.
You wear that crown so fucking well.
So well.
Wear that shit.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Oh, y'all, thank you so much. What a great thing to have lovely, amazing, brilliant, intelligent, clever women in your life. I love you guys. Mwah.
Happy Galentine's Day.
Happy Galentine's Day.
Happy Galentine.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Thanks everyone for listening today. We will be back with more Madness Cafe next week. You can find us on Instagram at Madness Cafe Podcast or email us at madnesscafepodcast@gmail.com. Bye.